News that affects profitability and decisions made on your farm or ranch happens around the clock and around the world. You don't have to wait until an appointed news time to get the big story. agview.net is a site committed to bringing you the news important to you. Compared with other sites that give you every story they can find and leave you to sort it out, agview.net has people with real-world agriculture experience that separates the wheat from the chaff to give you the stories and interviews that matter most to you. agview.net.
We're in Manhattan at the Kansas Farm Bureau annual meeting, joined now by Ryan Flickner, a Senior Vice President of Public Policy with the Kansas Farm Bureau. And Ryan is leaders from all around the state to come to talk policy issues and other items of interest. One of those that Farm Bureau has been very active on, but is now going to be stepping up, is dealing with the prairie chicken issue.
Yes, Ken, that's correct. Kansas Farm Bureau, along with the Farm Bureaus of Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, and American Farm Bureau, recently intervened in a lawsuit to basically defend the listing of the lesser prairie chicken as threatened rather than endangered. There's a lawsuit out there right now by the Centers for Biological Diversity, and that group wants to move it from threatened to endangered, and that's very problematic for a lot of our members and farmer-rancher members all across about 39 counties in Kansas.
And we all know, most of us, that it's simply a matter of if moisture is received in right places, this really is not and should not be an issue.
Yeah, the greater territory, or the home territory, if you will, for the lesser prairie chicken is based in short grass prairie all over the eastern Front Range of the Rockies and southern Great Plains of Colorado and Kansas, all the way down to the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. And that area has just been decimated, as you know, not 1 year, not 2 years. In some of those areas, it's been in drought-like conditions for almost 8 out of 10 years. And it doesn't matter if you're a prairie chicken or a human or a cow or any other animal in that territory. Quite frankly, without moisture, whether it's snowfall or rainfall, you just can't survive very long in that type of condition.
So again, this lawsuit, what you want to do is put a halt to any designation, correct?
Well, Ken, there's 8 different lawsuits that have been filed, 3 different locations. Some have been filed in the District of Columbia back in D.C. A couple other lawsuits that the state of Kansas and Oklahoma Farm Bureau is involved in is actually in the Northern District of Oklahoma, based out of Oklahoma City. And then the Permian Basin Oil Group or Association, they filed a lawsuit in Midland, Texas. So what Kansas Farm Bureau, Colorado Farm Bureau, New Mexico Farm Bureau, Texas Farm Bureau, and American Farm Bureau did, we filed an intervention to basically defend the listing of the Endangered Species Act as threatened of the lesser prairie chicken. The Centers for Biological Diversity and 2 other groups filed a lawsuit basically arguing that the listing should be endangered because of the drought-like conditions and just the numbers of these prairie chickens and the species. It has declined such a great degree. They believe it should be endangered. Under an endangered listing, any farming and ranching activity, if you have a road grader in your township road, or if you're a county commissioner and your county maintenance crew has to replace a bridge or a culvert, whether you're wind generation or coal generation, transmission lines, oil and gas development, all of those activities would absolutely cease to exist if this species is listed as endangered. So we want to make sure we don't go that listing. We don't really like the threatened listing, but at least we can live with that in the farming and ranching community. And we're certainly supportive of a lot of our friends and colleagues in the oil and natural gas industry in the state of Kansas, and hopefully preventing this thing from being listed whatsoever.
When do we know how this lawsuit and others will progress?
We're kind of in the wait-and-see period right now. We had some good news here in the last couple of weeks, in November, as a matter of fact, that there may be an opportunity to consolidate these 8 different lawsuits, and hopefully we can consolidate those in a more friendly court, either Midland, Texas, or preferably Oklahoma City, just because those are the areas that this species is found. Nothing against Washington, D.C. We've got a lot of good friends back there that do great work for our members. But at the end of the day, the courts there don't understand lesser prairie chicken issues. They don't understand habitat. They certainly don't understand 4, 5, 6 years of a drought. And in some areas, it's drier and hotter than it even was during the 1930s and 1950s of the Dust Bowl era.
Another thing that were being discussed at this meeting is implementation of the Farm Bill. Lots of questions, lots of decisions that farmers need to make, and we're going to be in March before you know it. And so farmers need good information, because this is a lasting piece to any farm they operate.
Yeah, as I've been telling anybody that'll listen, this is not your grandfather's farm bill. It is very different than the 2002 or even the 2008 Farm Bill. You know, direct payments, you all in the media know very well that farmers and ranchers lost that direct payment battle long before the battle even really started. So as we move forward in the implementation of the 2014 Farm Bill, which was signed into law in February, brand new programs within the commodity title. PLC, ARC, there's an opportunity to reallocate base acres, there's an opportunity to update yields, and really, you know, as you said, it's a 5-year farm bill, so whatever decision that producer and landowner sign up for in February and March of early 2015, they are stuck in that program for the life of this farm bill. Whether that's 5 years, which we all hope, you know, you reauthorize five-year farm bills on time. But as we've seen with this last one, we took 4 years, almost the entire term of a farm bill, to rewrite or reauthorize the current one. So it's something a lot of producers have to think about. I've been encouraging folks, if you're not computer literate, find a child or a grandchild that is. Plug in your personal farm data and your operation, what you grow, what your yields are based off your crop insurance tickets and so on and so forth, to really understand which program suits you best on your individual operation.
In January, we have 2 new chairmen in the agriculture committees, one a very familiar face.
We hope. I believe the senator's actually coming here to speak tonight, so I'll be intrigued, and I'll be bending his ear to see if he lets any cats out of the bag on that front. But you know, he has staff here, and I visited with them, and they're very excited. I think Senator Roberts is, you know, delighted if he has the opportunity from the Republican caucus. He would be the first representative to not only serve as chairman and ranking member of both the House and Senate, and that's just phenomenal. It shows of his leadership, of his legacy, and his ability to work across partisan lines, work within the Republican caucus, all for the betterment of agriculture in general. As you know, Ken, with less than 2% of the American public involved in any sort of agriculture, we have got to speak our message, not only to the choir in the church, but also anybody that'll listen. So blogger tours, consumer outreach in some of our more urban areas, it is going to be extremely important to be the voice of agriculture as we move forward.
Ryan, again, thanks for your time.
It's great to be here. Great to see you, Ken. Welcome.
Ryan Flickner, Senior Director of Public Policy for the Kansas Farm Bureau, has joined us from Manhattan for Ag View. I'm Ken Rogers.